Okay, hello. So yeah, lower point than last time. All right, let's run through this. Doing anything feels really, really, really far away. Far away in the sense of like literally when I visualize it, it just feels really small and far away. Feels impossible to do and then super unrewarding. Okay, so my last video was a couple of days ago. I'm trying to do a daily video, but of course that's hard to do from this. So I've just been sleeping the last couple of days. I got into a sort of argument with my mother about wanting to be able to communicate about something. And I guess what that conversation meant to me was I need to feel like I can have a conversation with someone, that I can connect with someone on something, that something can be discussed. And she was putting her foot down about this thing, and I was hating myself for not making her feel like safe and heard, where she would want to exchange about this thing that I can't go into detail about, where she wouldn't feel like she had to just put her foot down, where she would feel like I'm coming to her with curiosity, with a desire to understand her feelings so that she could meet me halfway, in the sense of wanting to understand my feelings and wanting to explain her feelings, not as a lawyer defending her position, but as a human being letting me in. And I didn't feel like I got that, but I know that I wasn't giving that, and I was really hating myself for that. Um, I got to start taking my Prozac at some point soon, but maybe we can do a little more mush before then. And also, I like capturing these thoughts and these things. So yeah, definitely a lot of loneliness. I had a hinge match, and I'm in a weird place right now. But maybe we could get together as two humans. I haven't heard back. Um, and it was a good connection in the sense that she was also interested in the brain and had one of my favorite books. So maybe but just don't feel like it. But maybe I'll send her another message. But again, I am in a weird place, so maybe not. Hopefully, she just doesn't find her soulmate in the next couple of months. Obviously, part of the loneliness is living at home with my parents, and just being the way that I am, and people responding to me the way that they do. Um, and fear from that, fear about that reproducing. But I am putting myself out there. I went to a intellectual discussions of Naperville thing, but I wasn't thrilled about some of the participants. One of the participants, though, was thrilled about me and wanted to invite me to their other group, but I haven't heard from that yet. But that's okay. They just maybe aren't meeting anytime soon. It really helps talking to a camera because when I'm alone, I'm not responding to the thoughts the way that I am right now, which is a point that's coming up in this video. I'm still doing my improv class, so I have another class tonight. I'm still connecting with passengers, making friends from passengers. Today, before my improv class, I'm gonna go see a friend. So that's good. So maybe I'm not gonna take my Prozac anytime soon because I want to see whether I get to the point where I'm actually putting just no more effort into things, and or whether I have pieces of me that are healthy enough to always keep pushing back against the instincts to give up. Yesterday, by the way, after this argument, or this failure of communication with mother, I come up to my room and I just want to break something, and I'm looking at this globe that I have, and I just really want to smash it. Um, and I really want to give up, and I wanted to, you know, fuck you guys, look at me, I'm just gonna drink. So I brought this bottle of whiskey up, and then I didn't drink. And I went downstairs and I continued to help out with the thing that I had kind of walked away from helping out with. Um, you know, so I don't know if that was just the strength of those impulses at my current state. But one thing I like to remind people of is that when we know that we are many different mechanisms, that we are many different impulses, it really helps for those impulses to compete, because when we think of ourselves as this singular thing, then we might have, okay, on the flip side, but we'll get to that in a second. So we might have one bad impulse and then identify with that impulse and go into rationalizing that impulse and following that impulse because that is what I believe. I believe that impulse. But when I know that I am actually we, then I can hear an impulse. We can hear an impulse. And then we can also listen out for opposing impulses, opposing mechanisms, opposing thoughts and beliefs. And we give space, we hold space for those other mechanisms. And by being heard, they are already starting to compete. Compete. Obviously, a big thing in addition to, being the way that I am, being different, triggering people's fear response. In addition to those things contributing to, and not being surrounded by like-minded people. In addition to those things contributing to my loneliness, obviously a huge thing is that just got out of this relationship that where I didn't have the connection that I thought I did, where I got it broken up via email, where the person didn't try to have any kind of problem solving conversations with me, or had a couple, but it was really just like, hey, I think there might be this problem, and then I go, oh, okay, so then let's try this, and they're like, no, but let's try this other thing, and I'm like, no, but I think this will work, and they're like, okay, and they send me an email, rather than having what you would expect when you're living with someone, well, what I would expect anyway, of fighting for the survival of the relationship, for the for solving the problems. But she was very quick to run for the door, and obviously that hurts a lot because I thought she valued me and us more than that. Yeah. Anyway, so but I do find myself really believing my negative, my depressive thoughts, maybe even more than I was on Monday. That there really is no point. Um, a that anything I could hope to achieve, someone else will achieve anyway. And one of the big things that has motivated me is the idea that only I can do it, which I know sounds grandiose, but and it is grandiose, but also it's motivating, uh, and knowing that that's just a grandiose delusion. Um, I know I didn't literally believe it was only me who could do it, but as I was focused on a timeline or on a maybe a specific community, I don't know, where it was up to me. But the more I think about, what, even if it happens in 10 years later, or whatever, a generation later in that community, it'll still happen. So what's the point? That all seems like really reasonable and rational to me. In fact, I'm giving it as evidence for this thought to help you understand why it's so powerful. But maybe to you, it's not even evidence, right? But that's my point, is that I do feel compelled by, convinced by, my these negative thoughts. So there's no point. I have no one, and I deserve no one. Um, yeah, I think I mentioned in my previous video, or maybe that was in the longer version that didn't have any audio recorded. But I think that, but maybe I mentioned that I recently met someone at an improv mixer, and he had written a memoir about his two depressive episodes in his early 20s. And it was kind of inspiring, the work that he had done to sort himself out, but also a bit discouraging because he is jolly as he describes himself. And even though he wasn't always jolly in his depressive episodes, when he was depressed, people noticed and they go, "Where's that jolly Andy?" And yeah, I do have a fun energy, but that's not what I think of when I think of how people think of me. I think of me triggering their stress response, of me being intense, and of the many ways in which I'm surely like my dad. And you know, and and I think that that's part of what I'm experiencing now, as well, or at least part of how I'm justifying my low mood, and my lack of desire to really do anything. It's like, gosh, what if there's nothing I can do about it? Except, what if I'm just gonna be like my dad? My dad doesn't see how he is. I haven't, I have been an asshole in the past, or I have been less considerate than I want to be, or less aware of my effect on other people, or I guess more importantly, or really more accurately, I've been having these flashbacks, these really vague flashbacks of me being just not chill in interactions in a way that I believe that I should be, where I am overly concerned with maybe getting my point across, or overly concerned with getting to the bottom of let's say that someone's annoyed with me. The me talking to you now thinks that that should be let go, because humans have those sort of fluctuations, or they have those different mechanisms. Part of them might be annoyed with me, but it's not actually the end of the world. The relationship can survive it. And I think I've probably been in those moments really annoying, like much more annoying than whatever the initial annoying thing was, because I wanted to figure out, oh, what did I do wrong? Or sometimes, oh, no, no, I wasn't doing what you thought. No, don't be annoyed with me, or whatever. I don't know. Like, I'm glad I record a lot of things, but I don't know how I would go back and find recordings of this vague thing that I'm talking about. So it just kind of haunts me. Um, anyway, there's this fear that there are all these things that some of my mechanisms just really wouldn't approve of, but that other mechanisms do, without the wiser mechanisms noticing, and they'll continue to operate that way, because that is kind of how my dad operates. Like, everything frustrating, hurtful that my dad does, there are other parts of him that know better, and that's kind of what is so annoying, because he'll recognize it in other people when they do it, when they do the annoying thing, but won't see it in himself. And so anyway, so yeah, I think I'm dealing with a lot of fear of myself reproducing that, and my sister as well. I see it in my sister, and so, like, it's got to be true for me, and I don't know, what to do about it. But I try to reassure myself that I am doing work that my dad isn't doing now. But I don't know if he tried it at my age, and I just don't know. I 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 don't know. So yeah, so I've been really believing the thoughts that there's no point in developing frameworks, or who am I going to do it with, or how am I even going to do it? I can't really sit down and work on any kind of complicated project by myself. And my search for a partner has, well, yeah, I've done some really cool things in my life, but almost all of them I had someone to bounce ideas off of, and to, someone to help me prioritize, and someone to not even so they could be themselves a source of courage, but also just their being fearful gives me courage. Right? I don't know what this is actually called in psychology, but you could think of it as like a fear displacement. And how I would explain it is that at any given moment, I have any mind has fear mechanisms and has courage mechanisms running. Obviously, fear mechanisms take priority. There's a major survival advantage to fear mechanisms taking priority. Now, if someone else is next to you and is afraid, then those fear mechanisms are already sort of spoken for. And so then can my fear mechanisms, as they see that the fear is being represented by the other person, they can take a back seat, and now my courage mechanisms can step forward. And obviously in that situation, my fear mechanisms are sort of trusting their fear mechanisms to win out against my courage mechanisms, or trusting that negotiation will be healthy, that my courage mechanisms won't just charge forward, recklessly, that they will be tempered by the other person's fear mechanisms. First time I noticed this was when I was a kid. I would go into the basement. I would be afraid to go into the basement, in the middle of the night. I picture it being dark. I could have turned on the lights, and I probably did, but still, there would be some dark corner, and that was really scary. And then I had a little sister, and that would still be happening unless she wanted to go down the basement. If she asked me to go down the basement for her, I would say, all right, well, come with me. I'm going to show you that it's not scary. And she would be so scared that I would be experiencing no fear, and even just find her fear, funny and silly. Now, if she all of a sudden ran upstairs, all of a sudden my courage washed away, and all I was experiencing was the fear. So, what can we call that? We might not even remember this name, but can we call that temporarily? Yeah, fear representation displacement. Um, so I already said doing anything feels really far away, impossible, and unrewarding. Yeah, this video is the bare minimum. I'll publish this. The previous video I did, I have to maybe edit out a part where I was talking a little too much shit. But so maybe I'll get that done. I do want to do a piece of art. Oh, the piece of art that I did 2 days ago on the 13th was this. Hold on, let me change it to standard. Well, you can see just like why, and who, like who with, and then also kind of like why me, I think, and then also maybe to kind of inspire myself, like who's gonna do it. And a lot of the work that I want to do, I don't really see being done, and so I try to remind myself of that. And yeah, so I want to. Yeah, so I can't take my Prozac anytime soon because I want to make all these affirmation posters, and I need to really be able to hear what works. Hear what my fear is, or hear my unhealthy and unproductive thoughts. Hear them and respond to them, or do a scope shift, as we talked about in that live stream from the 12th, from June 12th. Yeah. All right, so that's it. Yeah. Wish me luck. And also one of the so let me write that down really quickly. That two more. Well, I have a sheet. I keep my ideas for posters. So 26 G 15C. So one is no one else is doing it. I mean, and now I'm thinking of the people who are doing things similar. I don't know how good of a poster this is, because don't I want to care to do this stuff even if someone else were doing it? Well, I would want to work with them. I don't know. And then what else did we just come up with that uh, I don't know. I was talking about I'm doing the bare minimum. That I want to lie back down. I don't know. I know one is say it out loud. And that helps a lot to just, and I have not been doing a good job of this, but to just keep, God, no, there's something that I said that had an effect on me here. Oh, one thought that I just had was do it for my kids. Maybe I won't have kids, but that's make them proud. That feels really motivating. But then I feel some shame because I don't feel myself all of a sudden up, ready to do whatever. And so then I feel this shame, like, So you don't really give a shit about making your kids proud, which is not a right interpretation. By the way, this is another thing that I have noticed. I'll just have to rewind this video to see the affirmation that I'm looking for. But um, what was I just about to say, bro? Oh yeah, one thing that I've realized about myself is that yeah, I really am. And I've seen this in videos about ADHD or about anxiety or about productivity and stuff. But yeah, I've got this really ridiculous belief, really strong one, that like if I'm lying there in bed and I don't see how in the next 3 minutes I can all of a sudden be being really productive on a project, then I think that I'm not able to be productive on that project. But you have to work up to it. You have to, I mean, the only kind of productivity I really know is I have an idea, I'm excited about the idea, and just all the synapses are firing and we get to it. But if I want to achieve any of the stuff that, I'm trying to achieve, stuff that doesn't involve novelty, stuff that involves, ideas that I've been having for years and years and years, and then I want to turn something into, then I need a procedure. I need to develop a procedure, and that has to be a big priority for what we do, and that feels like an impossible task. And I need help with that. What would be the first steps of this procedure? Sit in front of a computer, and then I have AIs, Saner.ai, just like my task management app. And then I have to get like the steps, figure out steps with that. But then I'm gonna feel overwhelmed, and doing the first steps isn't gonna feel rewarding. And when I think about what would feel rewarding, which is getting it all done, that's gonna feel overwhelming. So and then like breathe, say aloud, and yeah, visualize. I don't know. But we've done some good stuff here. So let me just try to, I do feel my mind is on a little bit more. So I'm glad that I got out of bed and did this. But there is like this depersonalization. I don't really feel like I'm here. I feel like something else is just sort of taken over. And I guess that's something important to remind myself of, is that even if I don't feel capable of doing it, if I get the ball rolling, it won't end up being I who does it. It'll be other members of the team in here. So when it feels impossible for me to do something, I can remember that there are other mechanisms. Because right now, the thing I identify with most kind of just feels like it's watching these words, these mouse gestures, this work. I kind of feel like I'm still lying in bed. Yeah. So let's put that down. So when you don't feel like you can do it. Okay. Anything else? I guess I'm hesitating to hang this up because I feel like part of the reason that there are these other parts of me active is because you are here watching, and that's probably true. So let me make a promise to you before I hang up, which is that I'm going to publish this video and watch the previous video and maybe cut out part of it and then publish that one. Great. No. So first I'm gonna watch the previous days. Okay, great. Bye.